Well, the New Mexico Lobos had a big contest last night at the Thomas and Mack Center. It's known as Pit West as of late, Charles. Before going into this game, New Mexico had won 10 of 12 at the Thomas and Mack Center. That's including the neutral court games in the Mountain West Conference tournament, in which the Lobos have won 3 times. So now it's time to talk 3 and out here. And of course, the first topic on 3 and out are the New Mexico Lobos against UNLV. It was quite the topic on Twitter last night. Of course, Lobo fans live and die by every game. Well, you can live again, Lobo fans, because New Mexico gets it done. A 2-point win, 71-69. Jordan Goodman comes up with a putback, and
that's how you crash the glass.
That was the difference. A putback wins it 71-69. Arthur Edwards was big time. I loved Arthur Edwards' defense, Charles.
Had a good game.
Going over a couple quick stats, and I'll let you jump in here. The New Mexico Lobos finished shooting 48%. That's against a really good UNLV defense. So I think Coach Neal's going to take that all day long. I think one of the key stats that no one is talking about is 6 turnovers. Only 6 turnovers at the Thomas and Mack Center, and that was really the difference. Hugh Greenwood with 22 points and 8 rebounds. In all, it was a great performance for the Lobos, despite the fact that they had 0 free throws in that second half.
Yeah, 0 free throws, but they did everything else to compensate for the lack of whistleblowing. I'll just leave it at that for UNM. They crashed the glass. They were very aggressive going to the basket. They made UNLV pay for being over-aggressive, hence Deshaun Delaney's career-high 6 assists. They were really strong with the ball. You mentioned the 6 turnovers, which is a phenomenal stat no matter where you're playing at. Just to turn the ball over 6 times. And then stepped up defensively. Rashad Vaughn, a guy who's electric, 17, 18 points a game. You hold him to 13 points, held him in check. Christian Wood had a good game, but he was pretty much the only Rebel who had a real breakout type of game. And with all that being said, no free throws, you're thinking all is lost. Your boy Jordan Goodman, he does what all coaches preach all game. Shot go up, crash the glass, and good things will happen. That's what happened.
Jordan Goodman, I do believe inside of him he's got a decent shot. It's ugly looking the way he kind of throws his leg up. I do believe, though, he can hit the shot. But I think when he gets aggressive to the rim, he's a good player. Love when his back is at the high block or near the free throw line. If you can get the ball inside a zone to him, then he can take his defender or back him down and then make the right play. Jordan Goodman was huge in the second half for New Mexico. Only 8 points, but I'm telling you what, his size, his presence to create and get inside that zone and then maybe kick it out. Hugh Greenwood had a couple big triples. He was big time in this game, and so was Deshaun Delaney. Deshaun Delaney was able to drive to the rack, use his athleticism to score, or make the right point or right play to kick it. Delaney finished with 6 assists. He never gets 6 assists. He was able to kick off of penetration.
Well,
it was big.
Coach Neal, pretty much for a week and a half, 2 weeks, have been talking about effort, energy. Last night, there was no shortage of energy, no shortage of effort. If I'm the Lobos, if I'm Coach Neal, that's the effort I want my team to put out every night. And that great moment right there.
I love that picture. That's right after an interview that Hugh Greenwood had with CBS Sports Network, which was televised on the CBS Sports Network. And I had no idea about this until I heard the interview, as many did not. Apparently, a UNLV troll on Twitter went after Hugh Greenwood's mom. Now, everyone Lobo fan knows the cancer situation, his mom having cancer, and how sensitive it is and how supportive the Lobo family has been behind this. Well, someone was making fun of this situation. And so Hugh Greenwood comes out, Charles, in the interview and says, I'm not going to mention his name. He doesn't deserve it. But you know what? I had my first dunk since my freshman year. I was extra motivated. Thank you for motivating us to get us over the hump for this win, basically. So I love the way he handled it, called the guy out saying, look, you crossed the line. You crossed the line, a line that shouldn't have been crossed. And yes, you did give us motivation for tonight. And then you saw that big hug at the end with Coach Neal. I thought it was special. And maybe, just maybe, it's something that New Mexico needs this season, something that grew them together, glued them together, this big road win at the Thomas and Mack Center and everything that happened with Hugh Greenwood.
Yeah, you'll take most motivation, and unfortunately it was some dummy out there behind the keyboard. Those are the worst. The keyboard gangsters, those are the worst.
Tough guy behind the keyboard.
Yeah, tough guy behind the keyboard, talking crazy. But what I like about that, the team was supportive. You could tell they knew what was going on because they had a little bit more oomph in their performance. Coach really took it to heart. The guys took it to heart. And as you mentioned, if this really can glue them together moving forward, this is a great momentum shift for them going into Wyoming.
It is. Can they steal one more on the road in Wyoming? It's a tough task to ask these New Mexico Lobos and this young team that's just gelling. But if they can get it done, I'm completely backwards of what I said yesterday, Charles. I said I thought they would slip both of these games. I'm completely wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong.
Yes.
But New Mexico now goes to Learning, which is going to be a tougher place to play just because Wyoming understands the situation they're in making the NCAA tournament. But a win on the road against Wyoming really could jet New Mexico into a good position of stealing this Mountain West Conference.
What I like about this matchup with Wyoming, they're not powerful offensively. They're a good defensive team, but they struggle to make shots. They rely a lot on everyone else's mistakes. They rely on you not making your shots, you turn the ball over, and then relying on Nance in the side to get those easy buckets. And then when you collapse, their shooters can knock them down. But they're not scoring at a crazy pace. I think UNM is confident going into Laramie.
It'll be interesting to see if New Mexico continue the momentum, especially Hugh Greenwood, if he can shoot like that. Let's move on topics here, and let's recap a little bit more of last night's preps. Of course, it's your Bulldogs, Charles. They get a win against Atrisco. They hold home court, which is important. I think that's an important win, especially because they were trailing going into the fourth quarter. We'll revisit this in just a second, but I really want to harp on what you called, and that's the Valley Vikings. You said they would be runners-up of this district. They go into West Mesa, fantastic atmosphere, and get one on the road in overtime. That's big time.
Yeah. West Mesa fans expecting big things. They had a great start to the season. APS tournament, they kind of went back a little bit, losing 3 out of the 4 or whatnot. They bounced back with some wins going into district play over on Yate and Centennial. Things are riding high. You expect big things. But the problem with that is people overlooked the fact that Valley went down south and pulled out 2 really good wins. They beat a Gaston team that just gave Siebel a fits. This is a Valley team that they're young, they're growing. They could just now be hitting their peak. So you can't look at the beginning of the season and say, oh, well, they have 7 or 8 losses. You have to look at it from what they're doing probably from the beginning of January to now, and they've been looking pretty good. And that's why I think they're going to be a real problem for every team in this District 5.
Well, they've ripped off 3 in a row, and they're 1-0 now in district play. Now let's go back to Albuquerque High School, who then holds home court. I don't think it's bad for Atrisco Heritage. Just like I said, it wouldn't be bad for Volcano Vista, but truthfully, Atrisco may have missed an opportunity because they were winning going into the fourth quarter, Charles.
They were winning going to the fourth quarter. They had a lot of momentum. And Albuquerque High really, they adjusted. They started making shots. Atrisco started missing, and that's all it takes sometimes. Both teams played well. I don't think the coaches are upset at the effort or the performance.
Coming up next is Chris Luttrell of Luttrell's Gym. Going to talk Elite Combat Series. The fight's happening this weekend. We'll cover it all right here. It's uSports Central on a Thursday.